Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and it's time for another hard rock and heavy metal update. Just real quick, I want to give a shout out to DJ Legion. He sent me a package that he told me about this a few months ago, that he would do this for me, and I totally forgot about it. I've talked about a band called Roofrex a number of times. They are an Irish punk band that I'm really into. Pretty obscure. They should be a lot more popular than they are, though. Kind of the same vein as The Clash. I think they're definitely better than The Clash. And if you want to find out about that whole thing, go back to one of the multiple videos I did of talking about this band. But one of they had one full-length album come out, and it was really kind of a comp of a couple of new songs, and then their 70s output, which was released as singles. And after I shared the band with DJ Legion, he decided to buy a copy of the album, and his copy came with a promo kit. So he offered to make a copy of the promo kit, because I do have a promo copy of the album, but mine didn't come with the promo kit. So he was really, I mean, it's awesome that he did this, but here's a picture of the band, and then you've got the band's profile, and then the lyrics for the song. And he used much nicer paper stock than what they would have used. I actually think I have this. Mine did come with the lyrics, and it's like really thin Xerox paper, so this is really nice. So I really do appreciate this. And then he also sent me this really cool CD. I haven't listened to this yet. I have seen this before. I don't know if he sent it to somebody else, or if I've seen somebody else show this in the VC. But this is Naughty Women. They were a early 70s hard rock band that just kind of never did anything outside of their scene. I looked up, and it may say it on the inside. I haven't read the inside of it yet. But I kind of looked it up online, because it does say that this was recorded in 71. Recorded in 1973 by Naughty Women. And from what I've read online, they were a San Francisco, an early hard rock band. So I definitely look forward to hearing this. And kind of much in the vein of what Corey's been doing, I'm going to do a couple of hard rock 70s hard rock videos, because I've got some really cool, rare stuff, some more obscure 70s hard rock stuff that many of you may not have seen or heard. So I like the way he talks about the band a little bit, and then plays a couple of clips. I think I'm gonna copy Corey and do that. But other than that, though, let's kind of jump in here. First, in the background, if you haven't heard this band, they're one that you've definitely got to check out. This is Dublin Death Patrol. Now it's kind of hard to see that, but this is a side project that Zetro and Zetro from Accept and Chuck Billy from Testament did. Yes, they're both singers, and they both do vocals on this album. But it's just a really cool thrash side project. I think Chuck Billy, two of his brothers also play in the band. I believe Zetro's, either his brother or his cousin also plays. There were like 11 different people that recorded their two albums. So this is their first album that came out in 2012. Oh, they were both listed as 2012. Huh. Maybe that's when they were released. I thought I read that the first one came out in 2007 originally. Regardless, this is the first album. This is the second. I actually prefer this one, but they're both great. I ran across this one recently and decided to pull this one out and just give it another spin, because it had been a long time. But like I was saying, when they went on tour for this, they went on tour with 8 members. So they had 4 guys playing guitar, the bassist, the drummer, the 2 vocalists. So maybe they had 5 guitarists or 2. I don't remember. I don't remember who regardless, they had a bunch of guys. Really cool though. So check this out. If you like it, definitely grab a copy. So let's jump into this. First up, from the Combat Boot Camp series. This is a really cool series. There were 4 EPs put out as part of this. This is one of them. This is Napalm. I'm trying to think who else did them. Hang on, I had it up a second ago. So the 4 bands were Power Mad, Napalm, Have Mercy, and White Pigs. So I was digging, and I think I showed this briefly before, but I was digging at one of my local record stores through their singles, and they had this in one of their 12-inch singles, and I paid $5 for it. And the cool thing about this one is it's signed by the whole band, and it's got, I don't know, you can kind of see it sticking out right there. All their contact information. This is the kind of band we are. If you want to book us, here's our information. So very cool, though. Highly recommend checking out. I'd like to get the other ones as well. And they released a CD with a compilation of everything. So next up, this was VCLT from Brother John. I gave this a second spin a couple days ago. I was into some Pink Floyd bootlegs and just thought about pulling this one out and giving it another spin. And this is Stoned in Paris from Kiss. And this is a Destroyer tour, I think. Live in Paris, Olympia 22, May 1976. Really good set. Overall, the sound quality is good. There sounded like there was some damage to the tapes. This was released in '85, from what I read. And for those of you that are familiar with cassettes, when a cassette wears out, you get these raising and lowering of the volume, and you get that a couple times on the B-side. But overall, it's still a good show, and it's still really enjoyable to listen to. Next up, I showed this one briefly when I first got it. I paid like $2 for it. I usually wouldn't buy anything in this condition, but the vinyl is near mint, and it's an album that I really wanted. This is the second self-titled album from Hellcats. Really good. So Hellcats was originally Stars in the 70s and early 80s. I'm not sure what the reason for changing their name to the Hellcats was in the 80s, but I really dug this album, especially the first 2 songs. The first 2 songs, Hold and Equalizer, have a real new wave of British heavy metal sound to them, which I really dug. The rest of it's more just straight up glam, which is cool too. They were one of the original glam bands, but I really, really enjoyed this. This was a really fun spin. And if you're a fan of Stars or any of the other Hellcat stuff, I definitely recommend grabbing this one. Next up, a little bit of Pat Travers. Pat Travers is just amazing. I don't think he gets near enough credit when guys are talking about blues and hard rock guitarists. The guy is just phenomenal. This is Hot Shots from 82 or 84. I love this album cover. So you got right here, this is kind of the dream, and you can kind of see it's fuzzy like a dream. And then on the back there, you got the reality. And I don't know if you can see it, you got Mad Dog 2020 bottles everywhere. But killer album. The best, funny I said killer. Killer, the song, the second track on the A side is the best song on this album. But as a whole, his guitar is always phenomenal. But as a whole, this album is just killer. And again, highly recommend picking that one up. Next up, I was so stoked when they released these. And they've released 2 more since that I still need to get. But Metal Blade is going through and re-releasing or releasing on vinyl for the first time Riot's output from the 90s and early 2000s. And I'm really happy that they're doing that. And they're doing a phenomenal job with these things. These are both very underrated and very good albums. First up, we've got Sons of Society. I had this on CD, and I love this album. It sounds phenomenal on vinyl. Highly recommend picking this one up. Riot is one of those bands that have been amazing throughout. They've gone through, I don't know, probably 18 lineup changes, more than probably any other band that I've ever seen. But and it's not just singers. I mean, Mark Reale until this last album had been on every single Riot album, and unfortunately he passed away. As did, I think there's been 4 or 5 different members of this band that have passed away or been murdered. But just phenomenal music, and this is just really good straight up metal, and it's a must have if you're a Riot fan. And then along with that, you've got Inish More, just another killer album. This one completely flew under the radar. This one's even hard to find on vinyl, but again, Riot just kill on this thing. Highly recommend checking this one out too. Next up, this is just one of those albums that everybody needs to have. Oddly enough, I had never had this on vinyl until I grabbed this copy. And it's just not one of my favorite Black Sabbath albums, but it's definitely one that I had to have in the collection. And it's Sabotage. And again, this is these are the 2011, 2012 represses from Rhino, which were pressed from the original masters. That's funny. So I bought this about a year ago, and I told everybody about it, and just about everybody has bought a copy of it and shown it, and I finally got around to spinning it and showing it. But this is a 3 LP set. This is Holy Diver Live. Just a really killer Dio set. I've been buying a lot of Dio stuff lately. I've been running across a lot of his CDs and his live bootlegs and stuff like that, and I've been buying whatever I can. But just a really great set there. Does it say when it's from? Uh, 22 October 2005. Let's see. So there you go, 2005. Next up, this one I've shown before. I just kind of felt like pulling it out and giving it another spin. These guys are predominantly known as a hardcore band. I don't actually like their hardcore stuff, but I found this for a good price, and I figured I would buy it and pass it on to somebody just because of the price I got it for, or possibly sell it. And I ended up deciding to give it a spin, and it's not what I expected. This is straight up crossover. Really good crossover thrash from Agnostic Front, and this is Cause for Alarm. And until I heard this, I did not know that they had ever done any crossover. Apparently this one and the album after it was as well. I don't like their punk stuff. I've just never really been a fan of them as a punk band, but they're really good as a crossover band. So last but not least, try to keep this one short, we've got Power Mad, Absolute Power. I was really late to this band. I had never even heard of them until I think a couple years ago. Eric Dust sent Scott some VCLT of their newest album, which I still haven't gotten yet, but I had never heard of them, so I started talking to Scott back and forth. He was saying they were a really good thrash band, so I bought their debut EP, and I really dug it. And then a while back, Scott messaged me and asked if I had found a copy of their debut, and I hadn't, so he sent this, and this is, again, just killer thrash. Definitely worth having in your collection. I think that's pretty much it for right now. I do have some other stuff coming up. I've had a couple people ask me about my Japanese mini LPs, because I have been working on building that collection. So I'm going to be doing a video pretty soon talking about these bad boys. It doesn't get much better than this. But that's pretty much it, VC. I hope everybody's good, and I will see you soon. Take care.